Hello, we're remembering this week the birth in 1910 of Robert Merton. Not a name very well known, but I bet that you know some of the phrases that he invented. Role model was one of them. He was the first real advocate of the science of sociology in America. And in so doing, he produced a number of phrases which describe certain types of human behaviour and which, by giving a name to them, helped us to identify them. I've mentioned role model. The idea, of course, that when as we're growing up, we copy the people who are close to us, who we observe in our early years, and indeed later on in life, more consciously, we can deliberately imitate the behaviour and attitudes of people that we admire. But I don't know that I would have thought of this as something important without the name that gives it a reality which we otherwise might have missed. Another of his phrases is the phrase unintended consequences. The idea that often we pursue actions, but the result of them is not what we expected or indeed wanted. I came across Robert Merton in an article about Donald Trump. And the article was pointing out how many of his uh, deep feelings and longings for what he wants to achieve are being undermined because he hasn't thought through the unintended consequences of what he's doing. Uh, the implication of this phrase, unintended consequences, is that often we find that we pursue a particular aim so avidly that we, with such enthusiasm, that we don't even want to think about what might happen as a consequence of what we're doing. And of course, it's an encouragement to us to think widely and openly about what our plans might achieve, not only for us but for other people, rather than just launching in and hoping for the best. But his best known phrase is the phrase self-fulfilling prophecy. Uh, he describes this as describing a situation where we falsely analyze a situation and change our behavior in order to adapt to the false description of the outcome of our actions. And in changing our behavior, the false result that we anticipated is what happens rather than what might have happened otherwise. I think he puts it a bit more clearly than that. But you know what I mean by self-fulfilling prophecy. But I think the point here is how important it is to think positively about the future, because the implication of what he's saying is that if we think negatively, pessimistically, and adapt our behaviour accordingly, then that's likely to bring about the pessimistic outcome that we, in our negative viewpoint, had foretold. But the point about mentioning these phrases today is to just value the way in which words can help us to understand our behaviour. There's the famous quote that Socrates, that the unexamined life is not worth living, and we do need to examine our lives and to think about what we're doing and our relationships, but having the vocabulary to do it is so important. And so I'm grateful to Robert Merton for producing those three and many other phrases that help us to understand who we are and why we're doing what we're doing.